Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network, and welcome to our guest today, Heather. Hello, Heather. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm really good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, first of all, why don't we start with a little bit of who Heather is, but first, maybe just tell us where you are in the world.
Oh, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It's so beautiful. One more day of sun. You think you were in Los Angeles, where I just moved
Mm,
from.
beautiful, right? Yes. Vancouver definitely has a place in my heart growing up
Yeah,
near there. So, yes.
right.
And
It's
I
so
love this.
beautiful.
It is so
You
beautiful,
forget how beautiful it is. Like I've been away for 21 years. You come back and go, whoa,
right?
and my bedroom window, I can hear the birds, and you can just think about, I don't know, it's like a delta out there, with because it's the water is so close. It just feels like I don't know what the word is, but it's all this water out there, so it's all the seabirds. Yeah,
Right?
beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, that sounds like a very lovely and um, nurturing area to be in, especially with your profession and your
Yeah,
life, your history.
yeah.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do in the world?
Well, what I have done for almost 40 years, I guess, is be a naturopathic medical doctor. Although you can't say that in Canada, because I guess naturopathic physician,
Mhm.
California you can say naturopathic medical doctor. And because the Archdiocese of Vancouver, I quickly specialized in PTS, initially from sexual abuse.
Right.
People came who were sex addicts. So I learned a lot about addiction.
Mhm.
Um, actually, that's funny because we had colonics, and the colonic therapist was the AA delegate for BC Yukon. So I learned a lot about addiction and a lot about sex addiction because I was seeing all these people who had been sexually abused, which
Okay.
often leads to sex addiction. So finally, a couple of years ago, I published a book with Hammersmith Books called Transforming Trauma, A Drugless and Creative Path to Healing PTS and ACE. ACE is Adverse Childhood Experiences, because in reality, it's not that difficult to treat without drugs.
Right.
And I just really wanted people to understand that, and especially health professionals. It's so easy, oh, I'll give them this drug, or even just give them a homeopathic medicine, which is great, but you need to be really you need to have different things in the treatment plan and understand that the person needs to take charge too.
Yes.
That I love homeopathy, it's incredible, but it's really important for people to take charge of their life too, so that they're in the driver's seat, right? So my practice was really about that. And then I started writing a book. So I have a book called Flawed, which I just made into an audiobook, and that's about Vancouver. And that's actually about a person who was mentally ill. I won't tell you what happened to them, but it's a family saga about an eccentric family from Shaughnessy in Vancouver. And it was really fun to see it again as I voiced all the different characters, because I had written it about 10 years ago. And I realized it was really good that it hasn't sort of taken off because it's kind of out there, talks about ECT, electric convulsive treatment,
Mhm.
and there's so many alternatives to that. And it seems like that's getting another voice in the media. And the truth is it's because people don't understand really what else to do. So
Right.
they go back to drugs, they go back to ECT, and it's just not true. We have so much inside ourselves that we can tap into. So
Yes.
that's what that book is about. Mhm.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's the thing, right? We're starting to just rediscover that there's all these things and all these ways. And, society wasn't allowing us to participate in some of that stuff and, made it weird or taboo or, just all those things.
Yeah, and that's because of the Flexner Report from 1910. I don't know if you know about the Flexner Report,
I
but
do
that was
not.
Andrew Carnegie and J.D. Rockefeller
Hmm.
decided that, well, they hired this educator, Abraham Flexner, who went around to all the medical schools that were around in, early 1900s. And he basically uh, cut off, at that time it was either people paid, like the patients paid. It was next to a hospital a lot of times, or in a hospital where people would practice, and the doctors would fund the hospital, but it would come from someone like Carnegie or Rockefeller. So they cut that funding off. And that meant that there was only two Black medical schools left. All the women's medical schools were gone. And homeopathic medical schools, they just went the way of the dinosaur because um, their way of seeing things was based on a German model, which was about having a laboratory. Well, homeopathy doesn't need a laboratory per se like that. And so they saw it from their own lens and they cut off naturopathic doctors, traditional osteopaths. They saw midwives as competing with them as delivering babies. And then, yeah, and then the eclectics, which were really the forerunner of naturopathic. And so it was just like there were all these different types of doctors in the late 1800s. And by 1910, nope, it had to be the biomedical model of allopathic medicine. And because they really hitched their wagon onto the burgeoning scientific discoveries, which it's all great to do that as long as they're not fraud. They're not biased, which is, what was her name? I'm trying to remember her name. She was the editor of the Lancet for a while, Marcia Angell. She wrote in a book that, oh dear, someone that just came home. Can we stop this for a sec?
Absolutely. We'll pause it. We'll pause.
Okay.
Be right. Okay, and that one's still going. Beautiful.
So yeah, so that's basically what happened. And we were taking away all the things that we could know. Like even like, people talk about cold plunges these days, which has
Right.
become very popular, which is I love. That was a big movement in the 1800s. And of course, then people didn't do that anymore. Like all the botanicals. I mean, plants offer so much. Every day we're learning more what plants do and how they can affect us and, give us nourishment, give us medicine. Or foods,
Right.
or just thinking, thoughts.
Right. Even
You
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thought.
I think that's one big one for me. I think that if I hear something and I have to be really careful and say, okay, we have to really reframe this or something because otherwise I'm too sensitive to it. And my thoughts will just lead into like a sad feeling or something. And
Yeah.
I think that happens to a lot of people unconsciously. They just get overwhelmed with things and then they get into a place of just, feeling depressed or feeling sad or angry and not understanding why.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you start your career with medicine? How did you decide that
Um,
you wanted to do that?
you want me to be very honest?
Yeah.
Okay. I always wanted to be an actor when I
Oh,
was a teenager, and then I was raped. And I
target.
think, like I've spoken to people who were my friends back then, and they just went, "Oh, you went from being this fun, funny, smart, you know, very alive person to," they thought I was on drugs, which I
Oh,
wasn't. But it was a weekend away, and then I came back a very different person. So I think just I knew I had to deal with that. And so really, I'm sure that happens for a lot of people who go into health, is that you have to heal yourself. And so basically, I didn't do that at first. I moved from Montreal to uh, I went to school at Mount Allison University in New Brunswick. I went to the Maritimes, and then I found someone, and we went and built a cabin up in Cape Breton, in the Highlands of Cape Breton. And so and then it was only when I started really getting into the plants as I was homesteading, I went, oh, I really want to be a doctor. And so then I went back to school. I got a Bachelor of Science in biology and I was going to become a medical doctor. And then the more I thought, oh, I don't want to be part of that
right.
whole thing, just intuitively. And then I found out about naturopathic medicine in Seattle and I just made it all work and went to Seattle and did those years on top of the biology degree. And then I did, it's called, I'm a diplomat in the Homeopathic Academy of Naturopathic Physicians. So I did a lot of homeopathy.
Wow.
But when I was in practice, I realized like I love homeopathy, but I really love to understand how people think and feel. And so with the Archdiocese sending me people, I really was able, and then I did retreats on Galliano Island, and I
Oh,
was really
nice.
able to incorporate the expressive arts. So I love to dance. I love to sing. I'm a terrible artist, but my daughter's a good artist. And I love to write. I have, almost 4 books now. And and then and then I did a solo show. I actually did a solo show on my rape. And that was about 5 or 6 years ago. And I have to tell you, I was shocked how it was just so profound because I had these witnesses, I had a lot of friends in the audience, and I did all these different characters because that's what I really love to do is accents and characters. And they loved it, but for me, I was like, I had been holding this inside of me for so long.
Right.
And it was just, I was free. I was free. I was liberated. It was like, within a week, I was like, that was the most amazing thing I've ever done. So I'm working on a solo show to talk about how my husband passed from hospital error last year. So it's been a challenging 18 months.
No, well, that sounds like you're on the right path. You know that that kind of thing works for you.
That's
Putting
right.
it out there in that way, like really works for you. And I see
Yeah.
that, you know, expressing ourselves and those things that we keep stuck inside,
Yeah.
whether it's just writing it, whether it's speaking it to somebody, whether it's acting it out or singing it or whatever it is that
Yeah.
works for the person, but to
Very
get it
powerful.
from
Yeah.
inside out,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah, and
Fun.
you were telling me about your sorry, I think I just cut you off.
That's okay.
You were telling me about your husband's way he was in the
Right.
world and his music and that stuff. But yeah,
Right.
I want to know more about yours. So you're doing your voices for your book.
I do voiceovers. I mean, I do have a
That is so
voiceover agent.
exciting.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so
And I'm doing
cool.
the voiceover. Yeah. So for my first, well, it wasn't my first, but the last solo show, I did 8 characters, and Avi wrote me 4 songs.
Wow.
So I sang those songs. So this time I want to sing his songs, and I want to bring in all the way that we need to wake up in this society because we're going towards um, just being controlled by people, like as we saw during COVID. And it's not popular to some people to say that, but there are so many more choices than the choices that we made, that people made for us during COVID, and that's going to happen again. And we need to really be prepared. So that's also a real, I have a podcast, Dr. Heather Uncensored, and I did that from from 2020. And now it's kind of, I told the story of my husband's passing by hospital error, and just the grieving and what grief is, I mean, after someone you've been with for almost 30 years. So yeah. So I guess I'm just really about really examining my life and sharing it, not being afraid to, and just really believe in the creative process that can be so healing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm super proud of you. Like, not that it's
Oh,
a
thank
place to
you.
say, but I'm really proud of you because, yeah, that's a lot. It's hard to work through that kind of stuff. And then, you mentioned being raped. You mentioned, these other things that are
Yeah.
sort of who you are, have made you who you are, and that you have this capacity to share it is
Yeah.
beautiful. Like
Oh, thank
the
you.
acting, like you're doing the solo piece.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Like that's
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
know
slow
about.
coming
Yeah, well,
because
I
it's,
can't wait till you get it out there because I want to see it.
oh, great. Oh, good. Thank you.
So we're going to have all your links. We want to know where we can connect with you. Um, if you have any kinds of, well, you have a book, so we want to know about that. We want to know the title. I think you have
Yeah.
4.
I
You
have 3 books out now, and then
have one on
there'll
the
be a
way.
fourth. Second
Okay.
novel's coming. There's an audio book for the first novel, which is called Flawed. So those are all, that'll be on Audible, hopefully within the month. But those 3 books are out there. And let's see. And then my website, there's some radio plays. And my website is Dr. Heather Harrington, which is spelled Herington. I have a podcast, Dr. Heather Uncensored, which is kind of a little bit idle, and I keep putting out old episodes just because I really need to get this audiobook done. Um, let's see if I'm missing anything. And then, he was, Oh yeah, we have the three musicals, which, I was the
Right.
librettist. And so the children's one, if anybody that's interested in the children's one, it's the Calling Hour. And there's pitches online, thecallinghour.com. There's Michigan or the musical.com. And just as he went in the hospital, we were starting to workshop the old show, which takes place in an old people's home. See, and that's pretty fun. These people are, he was very witty and he's a great composer. So all the songs are wonderful. And yeah, his music, which is piano music, is online. Avi Gross, Sophie's Heart. So
Wow.
yeah.
There's a lot of things for people to really,
Yeah. We did a lot of work. We're just
yeah, that's
lousy
amazing.
marketers. So we just wanted to do the work, and
Well, now
we're
maybe it's time for the work. Maybe
it
now
is
it's when
time.
the
Yeah,
work is to be seen. It was,
that's right.
yeah, it's
That's
the
what I think.
preparations, even
Yeah,
all the
we were
preparation.
preparing for a long time. Yeah, and now it's to give it to the world. That's how I see
Beautiful. Well,
it.
thank you very much for sharing it with us on the Women's Wellness Network. I feel
Oh,
honored.
I'm honored to. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Oh, you're welcome. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go?
Uh, I can't really think of anything.
Okay.
I just, I probably am going to do these workshops called Healing Through the Expressive Arts in Vancouver in
Oh,
person.
okay.
Um, yeah, I guess that's kind of important.
Oh, yeah. I didn't ask you how people can connect with you. We were going to put your stuff into the comments, but yeah, we need to have some, yeah, how can they
Yeah,
work with you? What do you do? Live and in person? I mean, hopefully they're
yeah.
live when they're in person.
That's when we get into the
Yeah,
double.
in Zoom or in
Yeah.
person. That's great.
Well, I could work with Zoom, but I prefer not to. So
Okay.
I love doing, I did my retreats when I had my clinic in Vancouver, and I love that kind of days long, a week long, we're all together. But I'm going to start with one day,
Okay.
probably at the Canadian Memorial Center for Peace on 16th Avenue in Vancouver. So yeah, you can just email me at, oh, you can email me at drheatherworkshop
Okay.
at icloud.com. I'm pretty sure that's what I just got a new one for the workshops.
No worries. I'll get you to put all the information into the comments section yourself.
Okay.
We make sure
Yeah.
that we get all the spelling right and I don't mess up something just to
Right.
make
That's
sure we
great.
have the right thing. Yes, because
Yeah.
I might miss a dot or something and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So yes, Women of the Women's Wellness Network, we will put all of Heather's contact information into the comments. And yeah, connect with her. She's got a lot of good things to dig into on all levels. And I really am,
Yeah.
I'm going to look up the children's, um, what is it called again? Please tell me again.
Which one?
For the
The
children?
thecallinghour.com.
Calling hour. Oh, okay. I got to
Yeah.
look that one up too. That sounds amazing. And I think that's another thing, right? Children of the world, they need some assistance.
They they need this
Yeah.
musical. We almost went to Broadway and then it's got a lot of characters, so we need a strong backer, but it's
Wonderful.
still really viable to do that. Yeah, I mean, children have gone through so much in the last few years. We really owe it to them to make them happy
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
and
I have,
allow them to access happiness.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Even to see what that is, to have an understanding of it, because we need to resonate it ourselves because
And
we're
what nature is.
aware of
There's
it
a
as
great
well.
song in it. Yeah, called The Language of Nature.
Lovely.
It's just what the butterfly and all the different characters. It's a beautiful musical.
Oh,
I'm hoping to resurrect that now.
I have a couple people in mind who I would like to connect you with. So
Oh,
I
wonderful.
will definitely do that when we're done here.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah, if people would like to connect with you, we'll put your information into the comments so that they can do that. And yeah, I guess that's all we got for today.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's just been an honor to talk to you. Really a pleasure.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yes, thank you. And Women of the Women's Wellness Network, of course, until next time, be well.